Good morning, Bitcoin. My name is Thomas Hunt, and this is Proof of Work. Proof of Work is a show about the people behind Bitcoin, what they do, and how they got there. Today, our guest is Miguel from the Future Is Now Media Network. How's it going, Miguel?
Pretty good, brother.
Welcome to the show. We're now going to get started with everyone's most favorite and familiar question. What was your first computer?
Oh, man. It was a Pentium, I think 286?
Oh, Pentium would be, well, Pentium would be 586. Well, but it's right in there.
We had the 486 too.
Sure, before that, yeah.
That must have been the one with the you remember Digger?
No, it was
Digger.
Yeah.
That truck that kind of like Pac-Man essentially.
Sure.
It's a truck that goes underground and digs up and eats all the coins and
nice.
Whatnot. So that was the most memorable gaming, the first gaming experience that I've had as a young child. Mm-hmm. I think I was like 5 or 6.
It's interesting. So many people start out with video games, and then it goes off from there. And the games were so simple, when we were growing up, that kind of thing. And to see where they've come now with the full stories, and they're like movies and interactive choices and everything.
Right. And video games teach you to imagine things, to create worlds, and I think Bitcoin has enabled a lot of people to create new things and to have that sort of a freedom that some of us sometimes find in video games, by playing certain MMORPGs and, buying weapons.
And creating your own maps, or even now Fortnite, part of the game is making these forts and buying skins and characters and things.
Right.
It's all about the visual. It's not even really about the game anymore.
Yeah. So that's I guess that's why I think a lot of people in this industry have, one way or another, have also touched upon the gaming industry.
So after you got the computer and you started playing games, what else did the computer allow you to do? Did you get into art or music, or maybe just typing up reports?
It was gaming for as long as I can remember, until I started using computer for things like college, and actually going to film school in LA prompted me to buy my first Mac in 2006.
Nice.
And so
you're like Casey Neistat, you're ready to edit on the iMac and everything. The Future took off from there.
Yeah. It really, and ever since, really, it's been my tool of choice, of course, with Final Cut. And,
sure.
I've been producing documentaries for the last 5 years on RT, and which then evidently led me to my about a year-long show on the channel, which finally had me do something apolitical and allowed me to talk about my dive into crypto on an international news channel. So that was pretty fun. The show was called Cryptolium.
Yeah.
And my MacBook and all that experience of editing back in school and learning the craft of filmmaking really is still with me from 2006.
So how did you go from filmmaking to Bitcoin? Did someone tell you about it? Did you watch a video about it? How did it get to you?
Well, yes, a lot of people. I got into Bitcoin in October 2017. So just in time for the hyperwave, as Tyler Jenks calls it. And
sure.
There's definitely some truth to that. But yeah, it was just it was the buzz, really, right?
Yeah.
It was just a buzz, and everyone was talking about it, and of course the altcoin world had something to do with it, I think, even though a lot of us here, Bitcoin maximalists, sometimes have an issue with that, but there is some truth to that if it wasn't for Ethereum at that point,
they had the marketing budgets and they had the marketing money, and Bitcoin has no marketing budget and has no marketing money. So
essentially they marketed Bitcoin.
Essentially they did, and a lot of the altcoins you had to buy Bitcoin first, so it did kind of benefit Bitcoin. This next time we might not see that. A lot of people are asking more of these USD straight to Ethereum, USD straight to random altcoin.
That's
you
true.
Wouldn't have to go through this intermediary step.
But that symbiosis back in late 2017 was really crucial, I think, for the popularization of Bitcoin even to the 0.2% global adoption, which I believe it is now, more or less. And that's still very small, so there's really room to go. But that's how I got into Bitcoin, just from the buzz of my friends. And you know, as I was already in the filmmaking business at the time, I just thought, you know, I got inspired in this technology because it kind of, you know, it gave me a sense of freedom. Especially as I saw some of the altcoins and the BTC small portions that I bought rise towards the end of the year, you know, it of course inspired me to talk about this technology and use my experience as a filmmaker in creating films, and that is essentially what I've been doing ever since. Now we are doing this for our own media network. We'd like to say decentralized media portal that has really no higher body that is dictating what we can talk about and how we can talk about it. So it's called the Futures Now Media Network.
Yeah.
And that's where the film is at. It's a documentary series. Once a month we do an episode. We cover all these great conferences, such as this one. And the whole goal is really to create cinematic content that can inspire people in this space and can inspire people in this technology. So hopefully help the mass adoption, bit by bit.
Well, that sounds great. Where can people learn more about this?
TheFuturesNow.community
Okay.
is the website, and it has all our episodes, a little bit of the news, and all the good stuff that we try and do here in the space. So.
All right. Well, it sounds really good, Miguel. Do you have anything planned in the future? Any conferences you're looking forward to? Anything on the schedule that we could excite the people at home about?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, hopefully we'll be back in Vegas for the Vegas Blockchain Week.
Yeah.
That's being organized sometime in April. We are, of course, going to cover the Malta Blockchain Summit again.
Nice. I was there too. It was fun.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
That's our next episode coming out really soon here. We've been a
Cool.
little delayed because of the end of the year and all that, but that's going to be a fun one. Yeah, hopefully, our raving travel among the crypto space is going to continue throughout 2019, just as insane as it was in 2018, because of course, times change, price kind of dictates the atmosphere, believe it or not, although technology stays, and I think there's more passionate minds out there right now developing the technology, not necessarily altcoins, but even perhaps something more towards the Bitcoin blockchain, to pave the future for this innovation that of course will come with it. So it's really a melting pot of emotions and talents, I think, at this time, right? There's so much to see, witness, and look forward to. So it's going to be a wild ride for another 5 years at least, I think, before this whole thing settles down and gets into the mass market, if you will. And that's going to be an interesting wave in itself, right? When finally the institutionals are really going to come into it. And some people say that it's actually, what do you think about that? Some people say that this whole current price drop is really, you wanted to see institutional money come into the space. Well, this is how it looks like.
Well, I think we got a taste of the futures. When the futures first came out, everyone's like, this is great, Bitcoin's going to go up. And all the futures guys were like, no, we're going to take it down. Yeah. We're going to make money shorting you guys. Yeah. You guys are our meat.
Right.
So I think
get the hamsters out of this game.
That's it. And they drove that down, and then we're seeing more of it now. I would like to see the institutions come in and buy it up, but I just talked to Tyler, like you're saying, and he had a totally different strategy, and he said that they would be last. He had a pretty good plan for laying it out here. I think we'll go through that. But yeah, I just think we're in a down because we went up too fast, and that we have to recover from that. But it's just been really painful. A lot of people in the community made a lot of money, lost a lot of money. Now they feel really bad. We're not sure how we're going to get over that. Everyone says, oh, just hold, like it's so easy. But people have bills, people have jobs, people need to recognize some of their investments. So,
and that's the big issue, right? How do we move past this? But I think hodling is definitely one of those traits. But then again, there are great traders out there that it's their work to trade and make money on a down market, a side market. So I think anyone that's hodling and perhaps is living off BTC, you might want to consider finding that trader out there that employs himself in that capacity, and will help you with your funds. It's always bad to have money not work, right? You always want money to work for you somehow. So I think anyone that's hodling should consider investing into something other than a shitcoin, but some sort of a service that can hopefully, if not increase, but definitely not decrease their holdings over time, over the turbulent time that's ahead. So that's something to consider. But I hope people have the heart and the passion to stay in and not give up so easily, even though it is stressful and it is difficult. But I think it's all about believing in a better future, and Bitcoin has certainly been introduced at a time when that was very necessary during 2008 financial crisis, and I think that's really its main emotional state. It's the belief in a better, more sustainable, more decentralized, if you will, if you like that term or not, right, future. So I think this is a cleansing time to really allow the true believers to stay, while the schlack that we really don't need, I think, at the end of the day, go. And so maybe that's a good thing.
It's looking like less and less ICO conventions and more Bitcoin conventions. So
well,
I think that's a good thing.
The innovation with the ICO cannot be denied, though, right? I mean, the crowdfunding method, coupled with tokenizing and raising funds without international border lines and bank limits, that was something, right?
But also without any regulations or any controls. So, I mean, I got into this to stop people from printing money. I think Satoshi was the last one to do it. In my opinion, that's enough. To have everyone just say, oh, we found this great way to get around regulations. And IPOs are slow, and IPOs, you have to do all kinds of rules and things to protect the market. We don't see, I mean, the Facebook IPO went down, went up or whatever, but it's nothing compared to any of these ICOs where these people are never getting their money back. It went up, it went down, and it's never coming back. So the due diligence, the rules, the regulations, libertarians get upset, but I think these are designed to protect people, and in a lot of ways, they do protect people. So I'm not sure that we're throwing all that out is such a good idea.
Regulation needs to be introduced at a more proper sense into this. Although again, it was meant to be uncensored after all, even by Satoshi himself. But at the same time, people need to realize that the blockchain Bitcoin is bettering itself at a much higher pace than Ethereum can, even with all the real people behind it, unlike Bitcoin, right? Which also has people behind it, but not like a phone line you can call and say, Hi, Bitcoin LLC, can we get some help over here? But still, that should be the focus, the Bitcoin blockchain, and perhaps growing that blockchain, innovation, tokenization of things, if you will, through the Bitcoin blockchain, but with a real use case, not BCH, which will, I think, never scale to be some sort of a merchant store of cash or transfer of cash, whatever. But real companies with real ideas that really can use the blockchain through the Bitcoin blockchain to better third world countries, if you will. I mean, Dash is kind of doing it, and I got to respect them for that. What they're doing in Venezuela, they're really enabling a lot of people to jump over so much of the development that they don't have there. And I can't say that's a bad thing.
It's an okay thing. I don't know, I've talked to some people on the ground in Venezuela. They called into my call-in show, and they were actually really upset about the Dash thing because their friends had lost all their money.
Wow.
So they were saying that this is such a volatile asset, and he believed in Bitcoin. He was like, I know Bitcoin's down, but I believe in the fundamentals of it. You look at this Dash thing, it goes down 30% in a day. Someone loses 30% of their food money because they invested in Dash. It can be disastrous. So I worry that there's a bit of a cultural appreciation there where we're bringing in our new ideas and we're selling them the latest scams, and they're just going to get wrecked and wrecked and wrecked because they don't have the experience to avoid them. So it's tough to say. I mean, a lot of these things like Dash, they should probably stay at home and tend their own garden. It's going out into the world could be disastrous for other people, and they might not care about the consequences because they just need a good story back at home.
Could the stabilization of the price, though, come at a later time? Do you think? Right? I mean, nothing can really be born perfect, right? It has to go through that volatility and that trial and error.
I wouldn't look to do it on the back of like poor Venezuelan people. I would say if you're in America, you're pretty well off. You can gamble a little with your money. You can win or lose. If you're in a rough situation already and someone comes in trying to get you to gamble with your money, I'd worry about that. So, but they could also win.
Sure experiences vary, though,
they could win.
You have to agree that maybe someone had a bad experience with Dash, someone had a good experience. So you never know, but
it used to be 1,200, and I think it's like 200 now. So
it is being used at this time. But same thing with other altcoins, right? It's all kind of diminishing at this point in time. So again, that's really the whole idea of experiments, right? And
sure.
They they teach us to be better, and hopefully people can take something from this whole ICO boom and crisis in the same capacity of the basically 2018. Hopefully people can learn how to do this, but in a much more again regulated, perhaps better, stable way, so that it doesn't hurt the backs of the people who don't even have wallets.
Yeah.
Right. But
well, experiments are good, and Litecoin was useful for a while there to test SegWit when we had a political problem. We couldn't get it on the main network. These other experiments, Ethereum, these are good experiments, but the problem I see is they've convinced people to invest millions of dollars into their experiment. So now it's a totally different thing. Science project, sure, you got some funding, you're burning some rockets or whatever, but when normal people put their money in, and sure, a lot of them made money, a lot of them lost money, up and down, all these things, choices. That's where I get worried. But again, it's all at your own risk. Satoshi just put Bitcoin out there. We aren't even, we can use it if we want to use it. We don't have to use it.
Absolutely.
Same thing for these alts.
That's a good point you mentioned, that a lot of these people, and I believe that was the point anyway, that a lot of these people are not experienced traders, right? And if you're dealing with a cryptocurrency, it is still, at the end of the day, an asset, at this time just a very volatile asset, and that requires some knowledge of how to handle that. That's why you're right, some people got out and they're very happy about their decision to invest millions of dollars into ETH or something else. But a lot of people that don't have the experience have got burned, and I guess that's again my point, that hopefully people can learn from the 2018 how perhaps, especially those on the back end of things, with their projects, that perhaps have left some people quite stranded, and some people that were perhaps more experienced quite happy. But I hope those developers can learn how to do something, how to use this mechanism that they've developed, but in a much more regulated and better way. So again, I'm an optimist, I guess, at the end of the day. I hope that everyone can live happily ever after and together. And I think that's really the idea at the end of the day behind crypto. It is to enable people to self-express, to have that self-freedom, to have that censorship resistance to the financial institutions, and through the use of blockchain to really have censorship resistance to pretty much anything, including governments. So it's a very interesting time we live in.
It is, and people need to do their own research, educate themselves, and make their own choices that way. So it is a free market; they can do what they want. But thank you so much, Miguel, for joining us. It's been a great interview.
Appreciate it.
Thank you so much.